Picture this. I'm standing at my kitchen window, watching the late afternoon sun dip behind the row of tidy suburban houses, casting long shadows over the manicured lawns. There's a stillness out there, a kind of quiet that seeps into your bones when you've been alone for too long. My name's Rowan, and I'm 24, caught in the rhythm of a life that's both comforting and, if I'm honest, a little hollow at times. My husband, Ethan, is 27, a corporate sales guy with a knack for closing deals and a smile that could light up any room. We've been married for 2 years, tucked away in this cozy 2-bedroom house just outside Chicago, where the streets are lined with maple trees, and the biggest drama is usually someone forgetting to mow their lawn. Ethan's my rock, the kind of man who makes you feel safe just by being near. He's hardworking, always chasing the next big opportunity, which means he's often on the road. Right now, he's in New York for a week-long business trip, and the house feels emptier than ever without his laughter bouncing off the walls. I miss him. The way he hums off-key while making coffee. The warmth of his hand on my back as we watch late-night movies. Most days, I'm holed up in my home office, working remotely as a graphic designer, sketching logos and tweaking layouts while the clock ticks slower than I'd like. The solitude gets to me sometimes, wrapping around me like a heavy blanket I can't quite shake off. But I'm not completely alone, not really. Ethan's got this tight-knit crew of friends from his college days, 5 guys who've become a familiar part of our lives. There's Jake, 28, a mechanic with hands rough from years of fixing engines, and a laugh so loud it could wake the neighbors. Then there's Tyler, 26, a software developer who's quieter, almost shy, until he cracks a witty one-liner that catches you off guard. Marcus, 29, is the personal trainer of the group, all confidence and muscle, the kind of guy who makes you feel like you should hit the gym just by standing next to him. Liam, 25, works as a bartender, and he's got this flirtatious charm, always tossing out playful comments that make you roll your eyes but smile anyway. And finally, there's Nate, 27, an accountant who's the calm, thoughtful one, always observing more than he speaks. These guys are Ethan's family, in a way, and they've been nothing but kind to me since day one. We've hosted game nights and barbecues in our backyard, their voices filling the house with life. My relationship with them is easy, friendly, strictly platonic. They've always respected the boundaries, treating me like one of the gang while still keeping that unspoken line in place. With Ethan gone, though, the quiet feels heavier, like it's pressing down on me. I've been counting the days until he's back, and honestly, I'm itching for some noise, some life to fill up this space. So, when the clock hits around 6 p.m., I'm already buzzing with a quiet kind of excitement. The sun's dipping low, painting the sky in shades of burnt orange and soft pink, and a cool autumn breeze slips through the open windows of our living room, carrying the faint scent of fallen leaves. I've thrown on a pair of worn jeans and a cozy sweater, keeping things casual, trying not to overthink the evening. I just want it to feel normal, like any other hangout, even if Ethan's not here to anchor it all. The doorbell chimes, and I jog over to answer it, a small smile tugging at my lips as I see Jake standing there, a 6-pack of beer tucked under one arm. His grin is wide, mischievous as always, and before I can even say hi, he's already launching into a jab. Yo, Rowan, you better tell Ethan he owes me big time for this manual labor. I'm not just a pretty face, you know? I roll my eyes but laugh, stepping aside to let him in, the familiar sound of his booming voice instantly lifting the quiet that's been clinging to the house. Not long after, Tyler shows up, his laptop bag slung over one shoulder like he's ready to debug my entire life. Hey, if you've got anything tech-related acting up, I'm your guy, he offers with a shy smirk, pushing his glasses up the bridge of his nose. I thank him, waving him inside, and soon Marcus, Liam, and Nate arrive one by one. Marcus gives me a quick brotherly hug, his grip firm as he asks how I've been holding up without Ethan around. Liam, true to form, tosses out a playful quip about how I must be missing my better half more than I let on, winking as he strolls past. Nate, quieter as usual, just offers a warm nod and a soft, "Good to see you," his steady presence grounding in its own way. We've got a task ahead of us tonight, rearranging some heavy furniture in the living room and guest bedroom, something Ethan and I had been putting off for weeks. I explain the plan, pointing out where I want things to go, and the guys jump in without hesitation. Marcus and Jake tackle a massive oak bookshelf, their muscles straining as they hoist it up while I direct them to the corner near the window. "A little to the left. Perfect," I call out, stepping back to check the angle. Meanwhile, Tyler and Nate wrestle with a clunky old couch, grunting as they maneuver it through the narrow doorway, their faces red from the effort. Liam, of course, decides he's the self-appointed supervisor, leaning against the wall with a beer in hand, tossing out sarcastic tips like, "Don't drop it, boys. Rowan's watching." We all groan, but the laughter that follows cuts through any tension, making the whole thing feel like a team effort, even with Liam's teasing. After what feels like hours of pushing, pulling, and repositioning, we finally get everything in place. Sweat beads on my forehead, and I wipe it away with the back of my hand, catching my breath as I look around at the newly arranged space. The guys are just as worn out, shirts damp and faces flushed, but there's a shared sense of accomplishment in the air. Jake claps me on the back, grinning wide. "Not bad, Rowan." "We're basically pros now," I chuckle, feeling lighter than I have all day, and suggest we take a breather before they head out. The living room's still a chaotic mess with boxes and stray tools scattered everywhere, so I motion toward my bedroom down the hall. "Let's chill in there. It's the only spot with enough room for all of us to sit without tripping over stuff." We shuffle into my room, the six of us piling onto my king-sized bed like it's the most natural thing in the world. I settle in the middle, feeling a little self-conscious about having everyone in such a personal space. But the vibe is so relaxed that I push the thought aside. Jake's on my left, leaning back against the headboard with a beer in hand, while Liam's on my right, sprawled out with one leg dangling off the edge. Marcus and Tyler are across from me, sitting cross-legged, and Nate's near the foot of the bed, quietly sipping his drink. The mattress dips under our combined weight, and the room fills with the faint scent of sweat and the crispness of the beers we're passing around. We start swapping stories, mostly old college tales about Ethan that make us all crack up. I'm laughing so hard at one of Jake's exaggerated retellings of a frat party disaster that I barely notice when his arm casually drapes over my shoulder mid-story. It feels friendly, nothing more, so I don't dwell on it, just lean into the warmth of the moment. Then Liam shifts closer, holding out his phone to show me some ridiculous meme, his face just inches from mine as he points at the screen. His breath brushes my cheek, and I feel a tiny flicker of discomfort, but I brush it off as nothing. He's always been the flirty one, right? It's just how he is. I force a laugh at the image, trying to ignore the sudden tightness in my chest. The mood in the room starts to shift, subtle at first, like a cloud passing over the sun. Tyler, sitting across from me, tosses out a playful comment with a smirk. "Ethan's a lucky guy, Rowan." Gotta say, he hit the jackpot. The others murmur in agreement, their compliments piling up. How I'm always so welcoming, how I've got a smile that could stop traffic. Their words feel heavier than they should, too personal, and my unease grows, mingling with a strange, unexpected thrill at being the center of their attention. I fidget with the label on my beer bottle, unsure whether to steer the conversation elsewhere or just let it ride. That's when Marcus, who's been quieter than usual, suddenly leans over from his spot. Before I can process what's happening, his lips press against my cheek, soft and deliberate, as he murmurs close to my ear, "You deserve to feel special, you know." My breath catches, my mind reeling as I freeze in place. I don't even have a chance to react before Liam turns my face toward him, his hand gentle but firm on my chin, and kisses me full on the lips. It's like a shockwave, my heart slamming against my ribs as a storm of emotions crashes over me. Shock, guilt, and something darker. A reckless pull I can't name. I should pull away, should stop this before it goes any further. But I don't. I can't. The room seems to blur around me, the air thick with a tension that's been building without me even realizing it. What happens next is a whirlwind. A collapse of every boundary I thought was unbreakable. One by one, I let myself get swept away, caught in a tide of longing and confusion with each of them. The moments that follow are a haze, a tangled mess of whispered words and fleeting touches that I can't pull myself away from. It's like I'm watching myself from above, a stranger in my own skin, as the lines I swore I'd never cross dissolve into the shadows of the room. We're caught in a dance of forbidden warmth, a silent agreement that this is something we shouldn't want but can't resist. Each brush of skin, each shared breath, is a secret carved into the air, heavy with the weight of what we're doing. It's not just a lapse, it's a betrayal, a quiet storm that leaves us all breathless and reeling in its wake. When it's over, the room falls into a suffocating silence. I'm sitting on the edge of the bed, my hands trembling in my lap, the cool sheets beneath me a stark contrast to the heat still lingering on my skin. I can't bring myself to look at any of them, Jake, Tyler, Marcus, Liam, or Nate. Their presence feels like a judgment, even though I know I'm just as much to blame. The air is thick with shame, regret seeping into every corner of the space, pressing down on us like a physical weight. My chest aches, my mind racing with the reality of what just happened, and I can barely breathe through the fog of it all. How did I let things spiral so far out of control? How did we all fall into this abyss together? Jake is the first to break the stillness, his voice low and rough, almost a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might shatter whatever fragile thread is holding us together. We can't let Ethan find out. It'd destroy him. It'd destroy everything. Our friendship. All of it. There's a raw edge to his words, a desperation I've never heard from him before, and it cuts through me like a knife. I nod, though I'm not sure he even sees it, my eyes still fixed on the floor. Marcus chimes in, his tone firm but heavy with guilt. This was a mistake, Rowan. A one-time thing. We got carried away, lost our heads. It doesn't mean anything his words are meant to reassure, but they only deepen the hollow feeling inside me. A mistake. That's what we're calling it. But it doesn't erase the memory of it, doesn't wash away the stain on my conscience. Tyler, who's usually so reserved, speaks up next, his voice shaky and uneven. I'm sorry, Rowan. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I don't know what happened. He stumbles over his apology, and I can hear the genuine remorse in his tone, but it doesn't ease the knot in my stomach. Liam and Nate don't say much, just nod in agreement, their faces pale and drawn, like they've aged years in the span of an hour. I can feel their eyes on me, though I still can't meet their gaze. My own turmoil is swallowing me whole. Tears prick at the corners of my eyes as I think of Ethan, picturing his face if he ever learned the truth. The hurt, the betrayal, the way his trust in me, in all of us, would crumble. I can't bear the thought, but it plays on a loop in my mind, relentless and cruel. Who am I right now? I don't even recognize myself. How did I let loneliness and a fleeting moment of weakness tear down everything I hold dear? We sit there for what feels like an eternity, though it's probably only an hour, our voices hushed as we try to make sense of the wreckage. We rationalize it, piece by piece, as if words can rebuild the boundaries we've shattered. I admit to myself, and quietly to them, that I've felt so alone with Ethan away, that the emptiness of the house has been eating at me. They confess the beer loosened their inhibitions, made them forget the lines they swore they'd never cross. We tell ourselves it was a moment of weakness, a perfect storm of bad decisions that won't happen again. But even as we speak, the doubt lingers, a bitter taste in my mouth. Can the morning after that night, I barely managed to drag myself out of bed. Sleep was a cruel stranger, slipping away every time I closed my eyes. My mind wouldn't stop replaying every moment, every wrong turn, every whispered word and forbidden touch that I can't erase from my memory. It's like a film stuck on a loop, each frame sharper and more damning than the last. My stomach churns with a sickening mix of guilt and dread, a heavy weight that sits like a stone in my chest. I stumble to the bathroom, splash cold water on my face, and stare at my reflection in the mirror. The person looking back at me feels like a stranger. Pale, hollow-eyed, haunted by a secret too big to carry. I can't just sit with this feeling, so I throw myself into cleaning the house, desperate to scrub away any trace of what happened. I start in the bedroom, stripping the sheets off the bed with trembling hands, the fabric feeling tainted under my fingers. I wash them once, then twice, as if the extra cycle could somehow wash away my shame. I vacuum every inch of the floor, dust surfaces that don't need it, and wipe down every piece of furniture until my arms ache. I'm on my knees scrubbing the kitchen tiles when I realize I'm not just cleaning the house. I'm trying to clean myself, to erase the invisible stains that cling to me. But no amount of bleach or elbow grease can touch the mess inside my head. Every creak of the house, every shadow in the corner, feels like a reminder of that night, and I can't escape it no matter how hard I try. 2 days later, Ethan comes home. I hear the key turn in the lock, and my heart stops for a moment before it starts racing double time. I'm standing in the hallway, frozen, as the door swings open and there he is, my husband, my safe harbor, looking road-weary but still wearing that tired, familiar smile that always makes my chest ache with love. He drops his suitcase by the door, his eyes lighting up when he sees me, and before I can say a word, he's crossing the space between us to pull me into a hug. His arms are warm, strong, wrapping around me like they always do, and I bury my face in his shoulder, breathing in the faint scent of his cologne mixed with the staleness of travel. It should feel like coming home, but instead my stomach twists violently. I force a smile, my lips trembling as I pull back to look at him, praying he doesn't see the storm raging behind my eyes. "Missed you," he murmurs, his voice soft and genuine. And I nod, choking out a weak, "Missed you too," while every nerve in my body screams with the weight of my deception. The next few hours are pure torture. We're sitting at the kitchen table, a couple of mugs of coffee between us, and Ethan's telling me about his trip, some big client meeting in New York, a funny story about a delayed flight, the usual stuff. His voice is animated, his hands gesturing as he talks, and I'm trying so hard to listen, to be present, but my mind is a million miles away. Then he asks about the furniture, a casual question that hits me like a punch. Did the guys come by to help out? Everything go okay? I nod too quickly, my throat tight, and manage to mumble, "Yeah, they helped." It's all done now. My voice cracks on the last word, a tiny fracture I hope he doesn't notice, and I drop my gaze to the table, tracing the rim of my mug with a shaky finger. I can't look at him. I can't let him see the truth that's clawing its way up my throat, begging to spill out. He keeps talking, oblivious, mentioning how he's thinking of planning a get-together with the guys soon, maybe next weekend. Each word is a dagger, slicing deeper into the fragile shell I'm hiding behind. I flinch at the thought, my shoulders tensing, and I pray he doesn't pick up on it. The idea of them all being here again, with Ethan. As the days crawl by after Ethan's return, I'm a walking disaster, barely holding myself together. The idea of the barbecue he's planned for the weekend looms over me like a dark cloud, a storm waiting to break. I can't eat. Every bite of food turns to ash in my mouth, my stomach too knotted with anxiety to keep anything down. Sleep is a distant memory. I lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, my mind a battlefield of guilt and fear. What if someone slips up? What if Ethan notices the tension I can't seem to hide? Every time he looks at me with those trusting eyes, it's like a knife twisting deeper into my chest. I'm unraveling, thread by thread, and I don't know how to stop it. I spend hours pacing the house, rehearsing fake smiles in the mirror, trying to convince myself I can pull this off, that I can act normal for just one day. But the truth is, I'm terrified. I'm not just scared of being caught, I'm scared of what I've become. The morning of the barbecue finally arrives, and I'm a bundle of raw nerves. I've barely slept, my eyes bloodshot and heavy as I drag myself through the motions of setting up. The backyard is transformed into a familiar scene of celebration. String lights draped over the fence, a folding table piled with chips and dips, and the grill already fired up, sending the smoky aroma of burgers and hot dogs wafting through the air. Ethan's in his element, wearing a goofy apron and wielding tongs like a pro, his laughter ringing out as he chats with neighbors who've stopped by. I watch him from the kitchen window, my hands gripping the edge of the sink so tightly my knuckles turn white. He looks so happy, so unaware, and it tears me apart. I should be out there with him, playing the part of the loving wife, but I can't bring myself to step outside just yet. I'm hiding, hovering near the counter, pretending to fuss over a tray of deviled eggs that don't need any more attention. One by one, the guys arrive: Jake, Tyler, Marcus, Liam, and Nate. I hear their voices before I see them, that familiar mix of loud banter and easy camaraderie filtering through the open back door. My heart lurches, a sickening thud against my ribs, as I brace myself for the inevitable. I catch glimpses of them through the window, slapping Ethan on the back, grabbing beers from the cooler, acting like everything's fine. But I can feel the undercurrent, even from here. Their smiles are too tight, their laughter a little too forced, like they're all wearing masks, just as flimsy as mine. I finally force myself to step outside, carrying the tray as an excuse to keep my hands busy. But I stick to the edges of the gathering, avoiding direct eye contact with any of them. Jake gives me a quick nod, his usual grin nowhere in sight. Tyler mumbles a hello, barely looking up from his phone. Marcus and Nate keep their distance, busying themselves with helping Ethan at the grill, while Liam lingers near the table, his usual flirtatious energy replaced by an awkward stillness. We're all walking on eggshells, each of us hyper-aware of the unspoken weight hanging over us, a silent agreement to pretend nothing's wrong. The afternoon drags on, every minute stretching into an eternity. I'm hyper-vigilant, jumping at every loud laugh or sudden movement, expecting the worst at any second. I stick to safe zones, flitting between the kitchen and the backyard, refilling bowls of snacks or grabbing more ice, anything to avoid a real conversation with the guys. Ethan notices my restlessness at one point, calling out with a concerned frown, "Hey babe, you okay? You seem off." I force a laugh, waving it off with a shaky, "Just tired, long week," and he seems to buy it, turning back to flip another burger. But my pulse is racing, my palms sweaty, and I know I'm not fooling everyone. I can feel the guy's eyes on me sometimes, quick, fleeting glances filled with the same dread I'm carrying. We're all waiting for don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.